What the fuck? Yep, that's me. In today's video, we are going to talk about a game that made me very happy. Not because it hasn't its flaws, but because it's a game concept that is truly amazing and that I always wished for, like for decades. Because we are going to talk about the game Aniimo and what it means for the future of these types of games and why Nintendo is cooked if they don't start to rethink. And as always, I'm going to talk about what you can expect from the game, the good things and the bad things so far, basically from my personal perspective. And before you get too hyped, make sure to watch the video through to the end. Just a quick note, because I have been invited to the beta test by the publisher King's Glory Games, but the video is completely unpaid, so I am allowed to say what I want to say, and I will do so. And as always, if you like these types of videos, consider leaving a like and also subscribe. That would help me to grow my channel and also grow my quality. And also, besides the comment section, if you want to discuss games further and like stay up to date and find other people to play with, feel free to join my Discord server that I just recently created. So you can find the link in the description or the pinned comment. So let's jump right in with the question, what is Aniimo? Before we talk about the game, just a quick disclaimer. What I'm going to talk about and what you'll see is based on a beta version of the game. The game is set to release in 2026, so it's far from being finished. That means everything you see in this video, all the positive and negative things, might drastically change upon release. So these videos are just meant to give devs an idea of things that they might improve and things that are already good as they are. So what is Aniimo? Aniimo is a game that I would say is the result if you mix Genshin Impact with something like Pokemon. It is a open world creature capture action combat game with PvE, solo or co-op with friends, and also PvP, which I was unfortunately not able to test. In Aniimo, you play in an open world full of creatures that you can capture and you can fight and live alongside them. And as expected, the creatures have different elements and they can also evolve into bigger and stronger forms. And by doing so, sometimes they even change their element. There are also different versions of the same Aniimo with different elements, so a lot to discover. And they can also be hatched from eggs, so you can find eggs around the game world and you can hatch them, and they can even hatch in their final form, which is kind of weird. Like, imagine being born as a grown-up. Like, what the fuck? However, the big and major difference to other creature capture games is that you can actually fight alongside these Animos by also attacking the enemy and using skills. And you can even transform into these Animos and fight as this Animo. You completely control the Animo, which gives you a new perspective on the whole battle and also a new perspective how to interact with the game world. And you can actually even jump in and out of these Animos to cast Tamer skills and jump back in, play as the Animo, jump out, use skills again and attack and jump back in and stuff like that. The second big difference is that unlike most creature capture games, you actually have an action combat system. So you have light attacks, you have skills and ultimates to use, you can dodge, and you can also parry with some Animos. And you can also break the stance of the enemy by basically filling the stagger bar, and you can break them, which is pretty interesting. The next big difference is that your Animos actually have different roles. So you have support Animos, you have DPS Animos, and you have tank Animos. And the skills that they have basically are tailored to their role. So you basically make a team of 4 Animos that you can actively swap mid-fight between them. You should even do that because of cooldowns. And you should try to make a balanced team that has a support and a tank and maybe 2 DPS, for example, to basically adjust to the situation that you are going to face. And these transformations don't just play a big role in combat, they are also relevant for the exploration part of the game, which feels extremely similar to games like Genshin or Wuthering Waves, for example, even with some Zelda sprinkled in as well, which means you have resource collection for cooking, for example. You have side quests, you have boss locations, different loot chests, you have mini games like riddles and some sections where you have to fight some Animos to unlock a chest and everything like that. Which means overall it felt like I was playing Wuthering Waves with Animos instead of normal characters. They absolutely took some heavy inspiration from that. I'm pretty sure about that. However, the Animos that you have are actually important for the exploration because you basically transform into them to swim and to glide and to climb up walls, for example. And some Animos even have special abilities like jumping really high or like running really fast or whatever the fuck this is, like looking through their eyes. I don't know what this is, but you can do it. And you will even need some Animos to actually solve certain riddles, like, for example, burning vines to access a chest or freezing water to pass certain areas if you don't have a swimming Animo, or like adding electricity to something to power it up and open a door. I mean, it's not something completely new, but I think it's a fun way to implement your Animos into the exploration part of the game. And beyond that, you also use Animos for traversal, basically by climbing up walls, by gliding, and by using the running ability of some of these Animos to pretty much travel quickly from point A to point B. Beyond that, you can find dungeons with riddles inside them that are pretty much inspired by like the newer Zelda titles, so there's not really much to say about that. You solve some riddles and you get a reward at the end, so yeah, it's pretty much these Zelda type dungeons. And beyond combat and exploration, the game also offers a story quest line and side quests. There are lots of activities and events that you can participate in and deep systems to customize your Animos, bond with them, and create the perfect team. And to address the elephant in the room, the game is going to be free to play, always on, and a live service game. And while the game looks and feels best on PC, you will also be able to play it on mobile as well. Some of you might already know what that means, but I'm going to talk about that topic at the end of the video again. But first, let's go over all the things that left a positive impression, at least for me. Again, starting with the graphics and the animations. And oh boy, again, I was honestly completely shocked when I saw the game. I've never seen a creature capture game look this amazing. I absolutely love the colors and the shaders and the details of this game. This is just insane. You can actually see every strand of hair and every blade of grass moving in the wind, and it's just blowing my mind. And that makes me think like, damn, like even with the Switch 2 release, the new Pokemon title just is not even close to that. Like not even half as close to that. And you could say that it's limited by the Switch 2, but Aniimo is probably playable on mobile, so I don't think there's any excuse anymore, to be honest. Like, it really makes me doubt if the Switch 2 is the problem or just the amount of work they put in their game, to be honest. I mean, Aniimo simply looks amazing. Like, I just couldn't believe what I saw with my own eyes. Of course, this comes with some optimization issues, so I had some FPS drops even on my high-end system, but this is nothing they can't fix. And beyond that, the animations in the game are also on a very high level of detail. They are fluid and just feel extremely good, so that also means that the combat feels fluid and extremely good. And it's very, very well executed. There's nothing negative to say there. Like overall, especially for an alpha, the current state of the quality of this game is just completely nuts. And the Animos just look so cool. Like, I mean, look at them. Like, look at them! Let's jump over to the next positive thing, which is the concept of the game. Like, actually transforming into the monster is something I always wanted to do, and just simply no fully released game ever gave me the chance to actually do that. And I think it's so cool that the whole game is tailored around this idea. Not just the battles, but also the exploration. But not just that, because actually giving you the chance to fight alongside them, just let them fight by themselves, or transforming into them, or switching between both modes is just a great idea, and the game encourages you to actually do these switches, to use your Tamer skills, and as long as they are on cooldown, basically use the Animos. So I think it's just a great concept. But just a quick note, or like a quick side note, if you're not transformed, your Animos aren't the most intelligent creatures. So if the boss does any attack that you can actually see marked on the ground, they are not dodging. they will probably eat it. So the best thing you can do is actually transform and dodge by yourself. So I think it would be great to make them a little more smart. The next thing I want to mention is the complexity of the game. So the game is not too simple, which is very good in my eyes. And they actually brought the whole complexity of other successful creature tamer games into this game. For example, Animos that you catch actually have IVs and also personality types. If you don't know it, IVs are individual stats. So I guess there are some people out there that didn't play Pokemon competitively, so they don't even know that this exists. But if you ever wondered why two of the same Pokemon on the same level actually are not equally strong, this is the reason, because they don't have the same IVs. So that means that each monster you capture actually has individual stats. They can be very high, they can be very low. So you can capture one that has 3000 HP on level 10, and you can capture the same with like 2500 HP, for example. So if it is a tank monster, you obviously want one with as much base HP as possible. Which means that if you want a certain Animo in your team, you will have to capture it like hundreds of times to maybe find one with very good IVs and then work with that one. And they even added personality types that further increase their stats. So maybe you get one with like insane IVs, but it has a personality type that does not fit their IVs. So, and if that isn't enough, there are even special versions like shinies of these Animos. So if you want to capture the perfect Animo, this could take a long time. And I think that brings some very good long-term motivation and overall like a welcoming complexity to the game. What I also really like about the game is that they are trying to create a living, breathing world. Like there are so many details to explore about the Animos, how they live and their behavior. Like for example, you'll see packs of wolves following their alpha wolf Animo. You'll see bee-like Animos collecting nectar from flowers, lots of other stuff. So they are actually living in this world, and I think that's really cool. I mean, look at these beavers just minding their own business, climbing up this tower and jumping into the water. Isn't that cute? Like, come on, isn't that cute? Come on. Or if they are trying to dig up a shell, like, isn't that cute? Or like, what the heck are you two? And the game even encourages you to use the camera and actually capture this behavior. So I think compared to normal exploration, that is a pretty cool thing to do. The next thing that I find refreshing about the game is that compared to other creature capture games, you can actually play the game together with friends. You can do the exploration together, fight bosses, do some riddles and dungeons, and even participate in PvP. Unfortunately, I didn't really get to test this feature a lot, so I don't know to which extent it is in the game. So dear developers, if you're watching this video, please make sure to make co-op actually worth it. Because many games like Genshin Impact, for example, got co-op completely wrong by not allowing you to actually collect anything if you are in the world of another player. So please just simply allow me to collect stuff that I didn't collect in my own world and also finish it in my own world, so that I basically have the chance to just play the whole game together with friends. Of course, I have to do the story quests myself. That's absolutely understandable, but I want to play the majority of the game with my friends. I don't just want to connect for like 2 or 3 boss fights and then disconnect again. That doesn't make any sense. Combat in this game is also extremely enjoyable and gives you great hit feedback, which is extremely important in action combat games. And I think that's a good sign for the game, because if they put their effort into the combat system already and the game is just an early beta state, I think that's a very good sign for the release. I really enjoyed the combat so far, especially the boss fights that can be pretty tough, and you also have some mechanics in the boss fights that you have to watch out for and have to react to. I do think that the late game bosses can become challenging, and that's important. I think that's good. I don't want stuff to be too easy. So I really have to like think about the team that I have, or like prepare a team that fits the boss well, and have the game encourage me to capture multiple Animos and train them. I think that's a good thing. Overall, I have to say, Aniimo brings creature capture games to a new standard of quality and brings in some new concepts, which is a very good thing. But what does this actually mean for the creature capture game niche industry? Well, I am very certain that this game is going to start a new era of creature capture games. Games that are going to be on an extreme high level of quality and will start to add new and fresh concepts. And I even think that it didn't start with this game. Actually, Palworld started this, showing the potential that this niche actually has and how many people want to play these games. Then many publishers started working on other games. Because I know that besides Aniimo, there are at least 3 high-quality creature capture games that we are going to see in the next 1 or 2 years. One of them, for example, from HoYoverse, which are the creators of Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail, and they are known for very high-quality standards. And I'm pretty sure that there are many more games that haven't been announced yet, but are in development, or that will start development once Aniimo is the next big thing. So we are going to see many new high quality creature capture games in the future. Unfortunately, I think Pokemon is not even close to these games anymore. And that doesn't mean that I want to see the Pokemon franchise fail. Absolutely not. Instead, I really hope that these competitors are going to give Nintendo the drive to actually rethink their franchise and come up with some entirely new concepts and a new quality standard. I'm still going to buy the new Pokemon this year just to see if Palworld made them rethink. But I think that if it isn't the case this year and the next Pokemon is still not rethinking quality and concepts, I think that this is the last chance for Pokemon to actually redeem themselves. But enough for that, let's jump into the next section, things that I didn't like about the Aniimo Beta and concerns that I have for the game, which I'm going to talk about at the end, because there is a very big concern at the end, so make sure to keep watching. First off, let me come back to the topic of combat. And the first thing is, I would like to have multiple weapons for my Tamer. I think that having the Tamer battles also a little more enjoyable and flexible would be pretty cool. Beyond that, I said combat is fun. Yes, but I still think that it lacks some features and is still quite simple, so only certain Animos can parry and none of them can actually block or defend. Also, I am missing a regular jump attack, just a light attack in the air, not a big thing. And I also want to activate the abilities in the air. That is extremely important. Beyond that, I would also think that having a heavy attack would be pretty cool. Right now, you basically have basic attacks, 2 abilities and your ultimate. And I think that you can't change these abilities. So every Aniimo has 2 fixed abilities and they are going to stay the same. You're not learning any new moves like in other creature capture games, but I would think it would be cool to have 2 individual slots where you can put some very basic skills in, where you can learn different skills, like very basic ones like a fireball or razor blade, whatever, something like that. I think for the PvE section, the current system works. It's not a big deal, but especially for PvP, which I didn't get to test unfortunately, I think that the combat needs a little more depth into it, like blocks and parries, and a simple engage is important for the PvP to actually be fun. Alright, the next issue in the game is that I think the traversal just doesn't feel good at the moment, because the transformations that make you glide and climb are a bit laggy and clunky, and it's also extremely basic and extremely slow. And beyond that, I felt like I was missing an option to quickly move around the map from point A to point B effectively. Like, the game offers you a hoverboard ability, which is just so slow. I don't know why it's so slow. I was actually better off taking one of my Animos and transforming into them to use the running ability, but I had to recast it over and over again because I was running out of stamina, which was just annoying. And if the release of Wuthering Waves has showed me one thing compared to Genshin Impact, is that people love easy traversal, and it's so important for the game to feel good and be fun. Like, people praised Wuthering Waves for the ability to run up walls instead of slowly climbing, and the grappling hook, and also in the late game the option to freely fly around the map. And I don't see any reason why you should prevent players to do so. And if I could give an advice, I would say make traversal as easy, quick and open as possible. For example, I would put some flying Animos in the game that are actually able to freely fly around, and I would put so much work into this system to actually be fun, like the flying mount in Guild Wars 2, for example, or like the beetle mount in Guild Wars 2 that functions like a motorcycle. It's just so much fun to use them, and one of the most important arguments why you should play Guild Wars 2, for example. Another thing that didn't feel good for me was the audio design of the game. I just think the quality didn't match like the quality of the graphics and the visuals. Now, I know that some of the audio design is not finished, so maybe it's just an early state, but I still think that some of these audio files are going to be in the main game. I'm pretty sure about that. Such as, for example, the voice actors for the main characters.
Wow! You're not gonna believe this place! So much cooler than the simulations!
I told you! Things are different down here. You're in their world now.
I don't know, like I didn't enjoy listening to them. Or like the whole voice acting in general was just nah. And I also think they straight up just voiced Animos and not putting any effects on it. So one of my Animos, for example, made like growling effects, and it was straight up just a human growling into the microphone, and it was kind of cringe to hear that. I didn't like it. So I really hope that they will step up the audio quality. And the next thing that bothered me is the exploration of the game. Don't get me wrong, it isn't really different to any other games like Genshin Impact, but as mentioned, this review is from my perspective and what I like and what I dislike, and I didn't like the exploration in Genshin Impact. I hate having riddles at every corner of the map and locked chests at every corner, and the riddles are just too easy. They are just basically made to keep me busy so I don't run out of stuff to do, and I don't like this idea. Like, if you honestly just have to put a cube on a button to open a chest and 80% of the riddles are made like that, I mean, come on. If exploration makes me encounter new stories like in Witcher 3, alright, sure, I'm going to explore the whole map. But I think this is not going to change. It's the base idea of the game, it's the base idea of Genshin likes, so this is going to be the same on release. And another problem for me, like at least from my perspective, my personal perspective, is that I feel that the game has like an identity crisis of which target group they actually want to address, like young people or adults. Like most of the high-level Animos just look so cool, like dragons and wolves with fire on them and stuff like that. And they just have such an edgy design that is clearly made for an older audience, especially compared with the action combat system and the edgy kind of anime-like moves you sometimes see. However, on the other hand, like the dialogues in the game and how people talk to you just feels like it's made for like a very young audience. Especially if I hear like the main menu OST, which is
We have opened up the doors. There is so much to explore.
just, I don't like it. Every time I hear that, I just try to turn it off as quickly as possible. I know they are very proud of that song, but I just think it's so much tailored to a young audience. It's hard to like listen to it. But that just might be a me problem, not a you problem. So I didn't like the idea of just coming into the game and in the intro scene, my character's acting like a TikTok star, like vlogging his entrance into the world. That was kind of weird. Like, take Digimon, for example. Like, Digimon just nailed the idea of having something that is both for a young and an adult audience. Like, by the way they talk to each other, by the topics that the story like revolved around, and the whole OST. But I feel like with Aniimo, they are trying to be a fit for both, like very young and very old players. But honestly, like, the most amount of money lies at the old players. So beyond that, young people today are already playing, I don't know, Call of Duty at the age of 6. So I don't think you have to make it too cute. Speaking about money, let's talk about the biggest elephant in the room and also the biggest concern that I have about the game, the monetization. If you didn't already see it, the game is going to have lots of features that are going to scare many of you off. First of all, you have the classic mobile gaming UI experience. Lots of windows with red markers indicating that you can pick up some rewards in them, daily stuff, events, many different currencies, the full experience. And yes, there is a currency that you receive for the whole exploration of the game and for most of the stuff that you do. And I'm very sure that this is a gacha currency. So that means there is going to be a gacha system. And I don't know exactly what you're going to pull for, but we'll see about that. I mean, there are also cosmetics in the game already. I know they have to earn money with the game. So I'm not really mad about that. Having cosmetics in the game is fine, but I'm very sick about gacha systems. Especially because most gacha systems mean pay to win. Especially if you have PvP in the game. That makes things even worse. So if you have a gacha system, please, for the love of God, make it only for cosmetics. But I doubt it, to be honest. The good thing is Animos are not locked behind anything. It seems that you can actually collect them in the overworld without any restriction, but as long as you have capture tools. And even though I had more than enough in the beta, I feel like this is going to be very limited on release, which I could tell from a vendor actually having a weekly limit to buy these capture tools. So I think this will be limited on release, especially like the higher level capture tools that give you a higher chance to capture. So this is going to be a big problem. And of course, there also is a stamina system that limits your daily activities, such as boss rewards that you can open. And these rewards actually are necessary to both evolve your Animos to the next stage and also break their level limitations, so they can be leveled to a higher level. So if I want to evolve my Animo, or if I want to level it beyond level 20 up to level 30, for example, I have to break the limit and I have to use boss rewards for that, and I can't farm these bosses forever. So overall, the game already shows some major red flags when it comes to limiting your playtime and also when it comes to possible ways of putting paywalls in the game, like a gacha system, stamina refills, buying capture tools, cosmetics, and much more. And I even think that the storage, I mean, I had enough storage space for Animos, but I think they are going to limit that too, potentially, and you will also have to pay for that. There are many chances how they could actually put paywalls in your face. And that really concerns me because I think the game could be like a revolution for the creature capture genre. And I think even though if they have paywalls, it's still going to be a revolution, but it could be like a huge hit. But if they just put paywall over paywall over paywall, it's going to be hated. And if you hate any games with like a mobile UI and like all the red markers everywhere and stuff like that, gacha currency, that might probably be a big no-no for you. So let's come to a conclusion about my time with Aniimo. I know the last thing that I just said pretty much dragged the whole hype down a lot, but Aniimo in its core is an extremely interesting game. And I think no matter the monetization, it is going to shape the future of creature capture games. No matter if it's going to be successful or not, like it will be the new standard for these types of games, especially when it comes to the quality and also creating unique concepts. There just simply isn't any good game in this niche that actually lets you transform into the monsters, play as them with an action combat system, which means that no matter the monetization, they have my attention. And I really, really hope they make the right financial decisions. But if I'm honest to myself, we will get the stamina system and we will be limited, like the boss farming. I just hate the system. I hate it in Genshin, and I also hated it in Wuthering Waves. I just hope that it's not too free-to-play unfriendly. Like, it's okay if you limit me, but if you give people that pay a lot of money like a huge advantage and the game offers PvP, that's going to like scare me off. But as always, I'd love to have a discussion in the comment section. So what do you think about Aniimo? Did the game actually catch your attention, and do you already want to play it? Or does the potential monetization of the game maybe already scare you off? And do you think that the game is going to shape the future of creature capture games? Please share your thoughts in the comment section below. And also, if you want to keep talking about the game, and maybe find some people to play with in the future or for other games, feel free to check out my very new Discord server. I put the link into the video description and also in the pinned comment. Now, if you want to know about another game that you are potentially going to be able to play by the end of this month, that is going to be in a global beta, then check out this video. This is my video about Where Winds Meet and the upcoming beta and basically what you can expect from it and what you can expect from the release. And I'm also talking about a potential release date. So check out the video. It's a pretty good one. It's also a good game. I'm very hyped about it. Check it out. But besides that, see you in the next video. Bye bye.